Hello again and welcome back everybody to another edition of the Rural Report. I am your Rural 2IC and we are going to have another discussion about the truth of SHTF. Now, for most of you, you know what these videos are and what they're all about. For those of you that are new here, which we have picked up pretty significant amount of subscribers over the past little bit. First of all, welcome. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. And buckle up because these are the just kind of discussion podcast style where we just kind of see where things go. I've got a few topics in mind I want to discuss and talk about. And sometimes they go off the rails, sometimes they don't. But we'll see how this goes, right? All right, so where do I want to begin? Well, the first thing that I would like to go through and discuss, the first topic for today's video is going to be about the new kind of like DOD directive. Now, I have been spending quite a bit of time kind of doing some research and doing some other things. A few of you have asked me what my opinion is and what my thoughts and things like that are. And I was trying to do my due diligence and everything. And I was probably about 75% or so from reading everything and really getting a good handle on things. And then S2 Underground came out and did a 10 times hands down better job than I ever could have. And I was kind of secretly hoping for that. This is not my wheelhouse for that type of, understanding of the, if you want to go through of the legalese and kind of the military aspect. It's not my expertise. Not claiming that I really have an expertise, but I was kind of hoping that he would do that, and he did. He put out an amazing video. Um, and he talks about it with great length and absolutely a great detail. And I can't say that any of the things that he puts out that he puts into his opinion is anything that I can disagree with. He talks it out and explains it out extremely well. And so I'm going to leave a lot of that to that. I think that he makes very strong arguments. He his points are well defined, and he upholds those very very well. So, and I don't want to take anything from that. So, if you have the time, and I'm going to forewarn you, if you're not into long form content, it's like a 45, 48 minute video, and probably the first half an hour is just on that topic. So, if that's not your thing, I get it. But I'm going to leave everything because I can't say it any better what he did. But I want to switch gears. So, a lot of people that have asked me has also asked me if it's a precursor to some sort of a martial law. And that is where I'm going to focus a little bit of my attention. So, when it comes to martial law, there's a ton of people out there that already have a bunch of content, good content, and they talk about anything from Mad Max scenarios to, going back to the Stone Age, some sort of um, Walking Dead scenario or things like that. And I can't say that they're wrong. We don't know. None of us have a crystal ball. We don't have anybody traveling back from time telling us, what the future holds. And so we just kind of have to take things from history, apply them to now, put some experience and some thought into it, and try and work through it. And so there's that aspect, that more down and in the dirt, gritty struggle to survive. Everybody's pretty much in total anarchy and things like that. But what if we go the other route? And that's what really got me thinking. So many times people want to go through and bring up the book of 1984, George Orwell's brilliant novel, and they want to cite lines from it, or they want to put out the title, in which I want to go ahead and say probably a good 10% or more probably have never read that book. They're just spouting off because they've seen the title. Uh, but anyway, which necessarily isn't a bad thing, because just because they don't read it doesn't mean that they use the title and somebody else might read it because of them. So please go ahead and keep doing that. But anyway, it wasn't Mad Max scenario in that book. Okay, so what if that's what SHTF is going to look like? What if we have an abundance of resources? What happens if there's plenty of food, there's plenty of water, there's plenty of shelter and everything that you need, all the basic necessities for life. It's all there. It's all abundant. It's right there. But what happens if it's controlled? What happens if it is a fall in line scenario, or these resources will be restricted, if not completely denied? We have seen so many people on YouTube and other various platforms will go through and they're going to tell you that this scenario is going to happen or this event is going to happen, and then it's going to be everybody's going to bug out. They're going to go to the woods, and we're all going to use our pew pews and defend ourselves, and we're going to hunt deer and trap small woodland creatures and fish, and we're going to have to fend off from ravagers, and we're going to have to go and scavenge for supplies and scrape by the sheer grit and determination and all this other stuff. And while that may be entirely true, what happens if it is a martial law COVID lockdown sort of scenario? We're going to close a bunch of things down. And because there is a mass amount of unemployment, which most of the unemployment, at least in my scenario that I'm running in my head, is going to be from elderly and youth. So when you have elderly that's unemployed, they'll end up doing some sort of supplemental move to our government laden facility, and we'll take care of all your needs. And when the youth gets a little bit of walking around pocket change money from some sort of stimulus check or basic income, they have a lot of free time on their hands. And so what do? Usually they cause problems. And so if we have all these abundance of resources and we have a bunch of youth that have nothing better to do with a little bit of walking around money, it wouldn't be that difficult to take and utilize them for bad purposes. Let's put it that way. And while the DOD directive, that we spoke about a little bit earlier, and the way that S2 Underground put it, of being able to use uh, items that are for a direct kinetic sort of strike, to take that kinetic ability off and use them strictly as surveillance, uh, that brings in a whole new set of worries and scopes. One of the things that he did mention that kind of got to me is that he believes that if it's put out into the public, that there's a very good chance that there is some sort of version that is not put out to the public, which really got me scratching my head. Is there directives and rules and regulations and maybe even laws that are classified that we don't know? How is it that you can quote unquote break a rule, a law, or anything along those lines? Take and be found that you have not followed a regulation if it's classified and you don't even know about it. You know, and there's a little bit of stuff out there. I haven't fully dove too deep into that, but just scratching the surface, there might be something there that I'm going to keep going after and seeing if that's a rabbit hole that I want to go down. But put that out. A lot of people are going through and they're actively doing a good job at prepping for a natural disaster, prepping for things that there might be a power outage or a bad storm, and they're prepping for a couple of days. They're prepping for 2 weeks and things like that, and that's perfectly fine. It gets your foot in the door. It gives you a better chance of survival, if it's longer term and things like that. Um, so at least it's a start. A lot of us want you to keep going, just keep going, don't stop. Once you get to that 3 days, push it out to a week. Once you get to a week, a month, 6 months, a year, push it out and keep pushing it out. The more you have, the better, statistically on paper, of a chance that you have. So what happens though if all of us have a pantry full of food and a closet full of medical supplies and uh, different cabinets full of self-defense, and we've done all this stuff gathering supplies. What happens if it comes down to it's not the supplies, it's the the restricted access to different things. And if you go, okay, well, if I have food and water and all this other stuff, then I don't need to go to the grocery store. Or I don't need to go, to here or there. And I get it, but that'll only work for so long. Okay. Well, how long do you have your preps? How long do you have for a actual full self-sufficiency to where you don't have to go into town, period? And I'm talking one of the first things that they're going to do if this scenario plays out, which again, this is all completely out of my head, okay, is you're going to get cut off of anything that is going to be provided to you by basically a public service. So your electricity, your gas, your water, sanitation. You're not going to have a garbage pickup, mail, things like that. It's all going to stop, and it's probably going to stop pretty quick. And while some of us are going to be pretty happy that you're not going to get bills in the mail, the bills are still going to come due. They'll probably shut off bank accounts, and you're not going to have access to money and things like that. And then you will have no internet, no electricity, things of those natures. And so you go, okay, well, I've prepared for all that. I've got plenty of food and water, and I've got a well on my property, and this and that, and that's great. But what if it keeps going? Okay, how long can you stay on your property? And maybe you'll go, well, it'll be one of those things. I can go over to my neighbor's house and we can barter and trade, or my group will come in, and because of that, we've trained for this. We have livestock, and we've gone through and we've got all this, growing opportunities, and we'll put veggies in the ground, and we've got a stream running through, and we've thought all this through. Okay, let's go into that extreme scenario just for a minute. Let's dip our toe into there. Let's say that you've got all that. You've got fresh water coming in, you've got a well, you've got animals, you've got land, you've got people, you've got all these bases covered. If we go down into the rabbit hole of, it is going to be absolute martial law, okay? They've locked everything down. If they put out some sort of directive to where it completely limitates movement. There is no movement. Could it be said that your area would be seen as a not really a sovereign country, but okay, you know what? That's fine. You want to be there. You're an American citizen. You do what you want, but you can't leave. Period. At all. Can't go off your property to hunt. You can't go off your property if there's an emergency to help somebody or you're needed help or whatever. That little 20 acres that you are on, boom, that's it. Now that DOD directive comes in, now what happens if there's drones way up in the sky? You can't see them at all. I mean, we're talking, some of them balloons and things are 80,000 feet in the air, but you have a drone at, you know, 60,000. You're not going to see them. And they can be miles away watching you. It's not looking directly up. And so they know when you step off property, and being when you step off property, is it one of them things that it's a breach of contract, and now that they can come in and round everybody up, is it the person that steps off is now a legitimate target and can be taken out? Because then that comes into the thing. What happens if a fence breaks and your animals get out? Are they legitimate targets that can be taken out? What happens if a child just suddenly doesn't understand boundaries? Uh, there's a lot that comes to play with that. And again, I'm going very, very kind of radical in this. Okay. Is this what's going to happen? I certainly hope not. It's a possibility, and I don't think this is what's going to happen. I'm just venturing to an extreme to see how prepared that I am. It's a thought exercise, and I'm just trying to get you to start thinking and looking at things at different angles. And so when we go through and we look at this, now a lot of people are probably are. We've said they're prepping for that Mad Max, zombie apocalypse scenario. I don't think a lot of people have thought about the more. It's just controlled. It's just technologically controlled. I'm telling you, it's one of those things. We live in a technologically advanced society, and the amount of surveillance and spying and all that. If and this is going to be my opinion, okay, fair warning. But if you think that some 12-year-old in a basement does not already have access to everything that you have electronically, you are probably mistaken. Okay. We get told all the time, change your passwords regularly. Don't give out all this stuff. Don't do this. Don't do that. And then, they come out and they say the Social Security office was hacked. Okay, well, they have all of my information. They have my Social Security number, my name, my address, my birthday. They have everything personal about me. And whatever they don't have, they can use all that personal information to go in and reset passwords and gain access into everything else. So, I'm sorry that it's one of them things. Does not matter how safe you think you are. Okay. There's always a back door. There's always something out there. Uh, the internet, and a lot of people don't realize the internet is a doorway. That means it can be open from both sides. If you don't think that, just because your phone is sitting dormant, that it is not listening to you, if you don't think that information, pictures, videos, documents can't be pushed in at 2 a.m. without your knowledge, that at 2:30 suddenly somebody comes and goes, "Hey, I want your electronic device," and you go, "Sure, here you go." Well, what's this document doing on your phone? What is this $10,000 doing in your bank account? And you go, "I don't know." Well, guess what? It's your job to prove your innocence. uh, the evidence is there. So it's a very, very scary time. It's one of those ones to where, when it comes to prepping, it is a lifestyle. It is a decision to get into, to where you have to realize it is almost a thankless job. You're doing the job, you're doing your duty, you're taking care of yourself, your friends, your loved ones, your family, everybody, that you love and care about. You're putting in the hours, you're putting in the hard work, you're learning as much as you can, you're stockpiling as much as you can. When it is so easy to just kind of hide your head in the sand and go, I could be using this time and money to be running off to an amusement park and spending with my family. We could have so much fun and time. And I get it. And it's a valid argument. It's one of those ones to where you either sacrifice a little bit by little bit today and tomorrow, that if something bad happens, we'll pay back tenfold, versus going, nothing is going to happen, and you sacrifice a lot later. Uh, so it's a give and take, and it's a balance. You have a work life balance. You have to have a prep life balance. You cannot put too much on the scale on any given thing. Sometimes you have to focus a lot to really pick something up, or you have to focus a lot more financial resources, to get a bigger item or something like that. And it's okay temporarily to kind of shift things around and whatnot, but you still have to find that balance. Some people have a lot more that they can focus on different things. Some people, can't. They have to pull back, and especially when you get more people involved. There's a lot of times that I see one of the things that seems to be, I don't know why it's controversial, but you have a family, you have a husband and a wife and a couple kids or whatever, and somebody says, "Well, just prep harder," and they go, "Well, I've got a wife and kids, or I've got a husband and kids or whatever," and they go, "Well, you're doing this for them. Just do it." Well, it doesn't work that way. Okay, we're talking about living human beings. That child deserves time with their parents. That spouse or significant other deserves to spend time with them. And just going off and doing your own thing uh, could make things a lot worse. You're actually putting a wedge in between those that you're trying to help. And I get it. There's going to be a bunch of people that's going to agree, disagree, put in little asterisks and other things in there. And I get it. And that's why I've always kind of stood on the ground of prepping is extremely personal. It's one of those ones to where you have to figure out what works for you. I cannot tell you. I can give you advice. I can walk you through some scenarios. I can get your head, start thinking about some different things. But you ultimately have to decide what is right for you. What product is right for you? What training class is right for you? How much time and financial resources is okay and what's going to work for you? I can come on here all day long and say, this $300 blade is the absolute, cat's meow. You have to get it. But if you don't have $300, that advice means nothing to you. Yeah, you might be envious. Yeah, you might set a goal and go, I'm going to do it. But if it is out of the realm of being possible, like it's going to take you a year to save up, is there other things that you can do in the meantime? Is there a blade that you can substitute? Hey, this one's not as good, but it works and it's half the price. Well, you can reach that goal and have something in your hands instead of going a full year with nothing, you know. And there's going to be people that disagree with that. There's a lot of things for whatever reason inside of the prepping community that seems to be so controversial, but we're all adults here, right? We can talk things through and they shouldn't be controversial. When it comes down to it, there's a few laws, that comes to prepping. Stay alive. You have to breathe to live. You have to eat to live. You have to have water to live. The basic premise of everything. I mean, rule number one, survive. Other than that, it's all personal. It's a preference. How much money do you want to spend? How much time do you want to devote? How many people do you want to involve? One of the things that I got asked recently, and I'm gonna try and slow down here so we can end this. They said, well, when you're doing a group, how big of a group do you want? You used to be that whole big saying of the number one rule of prepping is we don't talk about prepping. And I think that's extremely wrong. Yes, you have to be careful about what you discuss, but the more people, otherwise, what am I doing on here? With a few thousand people following me, I want to get the word out. I want more people to prep. Okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be in my inner circle, but I want to get the word out. I want to inspire people. I want to help them. It's one of those that the more people that are preparing is usually the less people I've got to worry about. It's the ones that do not prepare that's going to freak out. Those are the ones that I'm usually worried about. So when it comes to all these of the people that just want to jump in and they want to jam something down your throat and they want to say this is the only way, I have a hard time to even remotely give them any sort of credence or time. I can't really take it too serious because I literally can watch one person take the cheapest of the cheap and outperform somebody with the latest greatest thing on the market. Okay, it's about the proficiency of you yourself. Everything's a tool, whether it is a hammer or whether it's a dollar bill. It is a tool. You figure out how proficient you are with that tool. Some people have a lot of dollar bills and some people have a little bit. And I see sometimes the person with the little bit, they value it more. They value their time and their dollar more. They want to get more bang for their buck and more out of the time that they have versus the person that has a lot of disposable income. They just willy-nilly throw things, out and they buy stuff and they get it and they look at it and they go, oh, I don't like this, and they throw it away and they just wasted that. So it doesn't necessarily mean the guy with the latest greatest toy or gadget is going to survive any greater than somebody who only has a couple of days worth of food. It's all about what's inside of you, your determination, your will to survive, your reason for it, your skill level, your experience. Those are the important things, not about how much of a price tag it is or how much land that you have. Those are tools that give you a little bit better of a advantage, but it's no guarantee. Make sure, and this is going to be my thing that I end on, make sure you're determined. Make sure you're highly motivated. Make sure that you have experience and skill and knowledge. Make sure those sort of things up here, you can't lose those. Nobody can take those from you. Okay. Those are the most important. in my opinion. So I hope you guys have got a little bit of substance out of this, and hopefully I was a little bit maybe even entertaining or whatnot. But do all the YouTube things, hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you have a blessed day. Stay tuned because there's definitely more information to come. And with that, say it with me now: remain united, because we're all prepping in this together.